OPPO's phones might not be the best value online, but offline they do sell like hotcakes. So what is the deal with the new F15? Well, we spent a few weeks with it. My colleague used it as his primary smartphone, and there are actually quite a few things that, okay, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech and welcome to my review of the OPPO F15. If you do end up liking what you see in this video, please do subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now roll that new glitchy intro. In the time we spent with this device, one thing certainly stood out, and that was the weight of the F15. Despite sporting a 6.4-inch screen and a 4000 plus mAh battery, OPPO have managed to keep the weight fairly low, under 175 grams. And it also happens to be pretty slim, coming in at just around 8mm. So in hand as well as in a jeans pocket, the F15 feels way lighter and more comfortable than most modern phones. Of course, the slim profile and lightweight does come at a cost. The F15 is made out of plastic, and while the gradient finish of this unicorn white variant looks really good, the in-hand feel isn't quite as premium as, say, either of the X2s or even the Redmi Note 8 Pro. What was every bit as good as any other phone in this segment, if not better, was that display. This 6.4-inch AMOLED panel here, it looks great. The resolution is Full HD+, so the resulting images are plenty sharp. And of course, since we are talking AMOLED, we have the characteristic inky blacks that result in high contrast levels. It's also a very bright panel, so it does not pose any issues when you use it outdoors on sunny days. OPPO have even gone with Corning's Gorilla Glass 5 for protection here, so no compromises with the display. Whether it was binging BoJack on Netflix, yes, we do have Wide1L1 support, or scrolling through Facebook, the visuals, they held up really well. The tiny dewdrop notch up top wasn't much of a distraction either, and OPPO have also done quite well to keep the bezels down to a minimum. And since this is an AMOLED panel after all, OPPO have been able to go with an in-display fingerprint scanner, which happened to be pretty fast and accurate, one of the fastest around, so no complaints there. As for the internals, we have a very capable Mediatek Helio P70 chip inside, and it's capable enough to take on most day-to-day tasks. Now the P70 is an excellent chip, yes, but yes, there's a but. Now, at this 20,000 rupee price point, even for an offline focused phone, I really wish OPPO had gone for something with a little bit more power. Because when pushed hard, we did notice a bit of lag at times. The keyboard would become a bit sluggish, especially when there was a lot of multitasking going on. Now that being said, this was not a regular occurrence, and when it happened, it usually fixed itself within a little while. Now it didn't happen regularly enough to make it a user experience breaking issue, but we couldn't help feel that having a stronger chip would have avoided this entire scenario. At 20,000 rupees, that wouldn't be asking for too much. With gaming though, we were pleasantly surprised. Games ran well. The Mali G72 MP3 combined with OPPO's game space, it was quite impressive. It punched well above its weight. We did very occasionally notice a few frame drops, particularly with PUBG, but overall it still remained very much playable. Wrapping up the performance aspect of things, we have 8 gigs of RAM along with 128 gigs of UFS 2.1 storage. We also have room for further storage expansion via a dedicated microSD card slot. The ample RAM feels like overkill here, but that and the fast storage ensure apps load up quick, and once they do load up, they remain in memory. So the user experience, pretty good. The software experience, that was a bit of a mixed bag. Now it's not because ColorOS is not optimized or anything, because it's pretty well optimized. It even has a lot of tiny, unique little features. For example, we particularly enjoyed using that smart sidebar as we always do. It helps quickly launch apps, and even the screen off gestures, that's something that's always proved handy. So it's not the usability that's an issue, but the fact that this is not ColorOS 7, but rather ColorOS 6 based on Android 9 Pie. Now that's definitely a negative. OPPO should have launched this one with ColorOS 7 and Android 10. Now, given that the specs aren't too heavy, this is not a spec heavy phone, then at least the software, it should have been on the latest firmware possible. So that is definitely a bummer, and I hope they at least update it soon. Now as for battery, the F15 was more than competent here. The 4000 mAh battery lasted us throughout the day on most days, and we ended with about 10 to 15% juice despite moderate usage. For charging, there is support for 20-watt VOOC flash charge 3.0 via this USB Type-C port, and the F15 goes from 0 to 50 in about 30 minutes. So even if you forget to plug your phone in to charge in the night, plug it in while you get ready in the morning and you'd have a fair bit of battery to get you through the day. At least that's what my colleague Mediatek claims to have done. As far as sundries go, the OPPO F15 comes with an included pair of earphones, which is pretty rare these days. They are decent. Now as far as sound quality goes, the bottom firing speaker, it's average with volume levels and range could have been better, but the headphone jack, that sounded excellent. I mean, the output, it was quite rich. There is also FM radio support thrown in. Okay, as far as the optics go, the camera bump to the back, it holds 4 cameras. The primary, as we are so used to seeing these days, it's a 48 megapixel sensor with a f1.8 lens. Under good lighting conditions, it takes excellent pictures with punchy colors and great dynamic range. Dazzle color is also present if you want to up that a notch or throw in an extra bit of saturation. OPPO is offering a dedicated night mode, and that seems to do an okay job. Sometimes the images have a bit of a washed out look to them, but most times the F15 manages to nail the exposure, and while there is some noise in the shots, that's because the ISO is really being pushed here, often up to 2800, and in most cases I think this is a worthy trade-off because the images, they do come out reasonably good. As far as wide angle goes, the 8 megapixel ultra wide here, it is par for the course. Images look good with vibrant colors. The ultra wide camera, it also doubles as a macro sensor and it can take shots like this. Once we are close enough to the subject, the camera automatically shifts to the macro mode, and autofocus does come in handy in these situations. OPPO is also offering a night mode for the ultra wide camera. Not many phones do offer this as a feature. So what about the remaining 2 sensors? Well, they are not really interesting. They're both 2 megapixel sensors. One is a monochrome sensor that just shoots black and white, while the other 2 megapixel sensor, it's a run-of-the-mill depth sensing unit. Taking a look at the rear portraits, the edge reduction isn't the greatest, but it gets the job done. Same for the front camera. Portrait mode does tend to overexpose the backgrounds on both the front and rear cameras. That is something worth mentioning. Now when it comes to selfies, the 16 megapixel camera here actually does pretty well. Impressive detail levels with natural looking skin tones. Of course, AI beauty mode returns. Wouldn't be an OPPO phone without that, right? Coming to video, we do miss out on 4K, a chip limitation, but 1080p video is well stabilized and retains a fair amount of detail. The ultra-wide sensor in here can also capture video, but that is limited to 720p only. Overall, if I had to summarize the cameras, well, they are a reflection of what the F15 is. Average for the most part, with some good bits thrown in, like the selfie camera for example, but also some glaring omissions like the 4K video recording. But then there is one thing in this phone that is certainly above average, and that is the price. At $99.90, the OPPO F15, it is quite an expensive phone, at least for what it's offering. I mean, yeah, the 128 gig base variant. Now, other phones in this segment, they do offer 64 gigs of base, but even then, others like the Note 8 Pro, the Dual X2s, they do offer better value online. But offline, where this phone competes with the likes of the Galaxy A50s, the F15 does seem to hold an edge. In fact, I do have a dedicated comparison video on that, and here's a card to that video. Check it out if you haven't yet. So long story short, my conclusion, online, nope, there are better value for money options. Offline though, this is still decent enough. Now I want to know what you guys think about the OPPO F15. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this review. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on what you felt about the video. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.